What's happening, y'all? Happy Thursday. Man, trying to figure it out. KR,
What's up? What's up?
what's going on, brother? How you?
I'm chilling.
Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Glad to have you. We're going to give everybody a couple minutes, try to get them to jump in here. How you making out?
Lovely. So,
Okay.
getting ready to finish up. December is always a great time when I just try to bang in as much projects as possible in terms of like rehabs or rent things out, cut some costs. So, we really push it. I was talking to my property manager, uh, my brother, and we're getting the 63 kitchen faucets delivered on Saturday. He said the day after Christmas. I said, what other day? I need those things. We gotta work, enjoy the holiday, and then it's over.
Okay,
So,
so no days off then. Christmas and back to work.
oh yeah, he'll get Sunday off because that's the Lord's day. But Saturday, he
So
can
we
work
get
that.
Christmas and Sunday off then.
Yes, yes. That's his day of rest. Unless there's
Okay.
emergency.
Nah, so how you been making out with COVID? How you been feeling? Everything is good?
Oh, everything's good. Like I have no complaints. My building, they've been doing a really good job keeping everything clean. Family members are sitting tight and being safe. And I haven't had any issues, so I'm happy about that. And the tenants, we haven't had any issues. One tenant has definitely had COVID, but other than that, out of like all the units, we've been pretty blessed and situated where we're not stressed about that issue.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you tuning in, joining us. So, like I said, we'll give everybody about another minute or so before we go in with the deep dive. But for those of you who don't know, again, Anthony Lee, A. Lee Real Estate, licensed agent here in Pennsylvania, well, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, investor. And then we have KR. He's going to be teaching us tonight about his journey investing in Philadelphia, outside of Philadelphia, and how to level up to get to that next level and start buying not just multi-units but apartment buildings. That's the game changer right there.
Oh yeah,
So for
that
those
definitely.
people who don't know you, KR, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, your social media information, and a little bit about yourself.
So, hope you guys follow me. I'm at KJ Consulting, KayJayConsulting, KJ Consulting, as you can see on my nice, beautiful shirt. And I grew up in Philly, seven siblings, single parent household. We grew up on public assistance. For all you young cats that don't know what that is, that's welfare. And it was crazy. We moved around all the time, renting places. I remember vividly growing up, and I was in kindergarten, and our house like caught on fire. I remember, and the elementary teacher had to brought us some KFC, and my favorite is original chicken, so she got that right. But she bought some mashed potatoes and some mac and cheese. I'm a coleslaw brother, but beggars can't be picky. But I remember eating that food and being able to look at the stars because the third floor was missing. We were homeless living in that burnt down house. And that really gave me the desire to want to go into real estate. So I always wanted to build a legacy and have financial freedom. And so from a young age, I just bust my behind off going to public school in Philly, got a full scholarship, went off to Bowdoin College, worked on Wall Street, then worked for a hedge fund covering U.S. home builders. And in 2009, then I just started buying real estate. And so I've been in the game for quite some time. That's the quick rundown.
Gotcha. So let's reverse engineer that. So your first property, how that worked for you? What did you buy for your first property, and how did you go
So
about that?
I was kind of crazy because my first property I bought off the auction. And so what's so crazy about it is that my family was like, Oh, this is a good one. Even though you can't go inside of the house, don't worry. The street is really nice. You have nothing to worry about. I went in the back, did all my research and what have you. And when I bought that property, I kid you not, I went inside. I said, "What the hell?" It didn't have walls, no cabinets. Those floors was missing. It was the worst thing you could ever imagine. But we were able to rehab it in 30 days and rent it out because I had did the homework. I always encourage people to do the homework, plan for the worst and hope for the best. And from that project, I was able to manage, like be the general project manager on my own.
Contractor.
And so
Yeah.
the contractor, I found the guy with the floors, the guy to do the window. I did every single thing. It was so crazy. And I did that before I went to business school. So I went to business school in 2010. So that right there opened my eyes up. And some people were like, "Why are you going to do that the first time?" And at the time, I quit working for a hedge fund where I covered US home builders and UK home builders and financials. And so I understood the macro and the micro factors that affected home buyers and banks and financing and everything. But now was at a point where I had the financial capital to take the risk because some people were like, "Oh, don't do it right now. People are losing their jobs. This is not the best time to buy real estate." I always tell people, look, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. And so I just said, look, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna go all in. I'm young, I'm in my 20s, I'm just gonna buy this motherfucking house. And whatever happens, happens. And so I said, I'm not doing a pretty easy one. So the first one was the most difficult. And so from there, I continued to buy those houses that were really distressed for like $22,000 and put like $17,000 in to fix it up. And then it appraised for $115,000, and then I had $85,000 refi cash on the side. And most people would say, "Oh, go buy something expensive." What I would do for my first 9 properties is I would put a large percentage of that money aside, so I have a large down payment, so I can start buying 3 families, 5 families, 6 family units, 12 units, and then move up to apartment buildings. So that was my approach.
All right, so I'm gonna break it down for the people that he said a lot there. So first property was sheriff sale, right? You
Yeah,
paid roughly 20 something thousand
yeah,
for it.
super cheap. Yeah,
You you bought 15, 20 thousand into it,
yeah, super
rehabbed
cheap.
it, but then it
Yeah,
had a value of 115,000.
yeah. And then
And
you
then you
can
said
refi and you get $85,000 out.
so you did a refi, which people today call it the BRRRR strategy. When you
Yeah,
buy it, rehab it, rent it, refinance, repeat.
yeah.
But you're saying you took that first property, and at the time, again, Philly's different. What year is this? 2009, 2010?
Yep, 2009. But I've been buying properties for like 20, 30,000 all the way up to 2018.
Right. But I'm just saying in general,
Yeah,
that market at the time, there were plenty of properties at that price.
plenty.
So so
Yep,
that's
plenty.
so now that same 20,000 house, you probably got to pay 50,000 for it.
Yes,
Or 75, depending on how many offers are on it. You know, the market's just
yes.
different right now. It's crazy.
Yep,
The seller's
yeah,
market. But like you said, you bought when there technically was blood in the street because that was in the middle of a depression.
yeah.
Because through 2008, you know, the market started crashing. 2009, shit hit the fan. But
Oh,
you
yeah.
said, look, I'm not. Say it again.
No, you're right. That's exactly. It's the time to go in. Back the truck up.
So everybody else is nervous, and you're like, yo, I don't care. Like you said, you're in a position where you can afford to take the risk, good, better, and different. You know, your livelihood won't be at stake because you still can buy this and still sustain life. And so that one property, and then you said the second property, you bought another single family, or
Oh, yeah. So what I did is my strategy was to buy distressed single family homes, whether they were foreclosed or short sale or ROE bank owned properties from like auction.com. So that was my strategy for all my individual houses to buy them really cheap. Basically, you buy it for like 20,000 or 40,000. The max I will put in for the rehab was 50% of the purchase price. So if I bought it for 60,000, I would not spend more than 30,000 to fix it up. And then I would refi, and I was able to build up a nice cash reserve that I can use to go and buy bigger properties. So for instance, when I bought, like say for instance, one home for 22,000, then put 15,000 to fix it up, and appraised for 115. You get $85,000 out. That $85,000 can be used for the down payment on my 6-unit apartment building in Darby for 325, and then that puts me in a position where I'm making like $800, let's say 950 for rent, $1,000 rent for the individual house, and then I'm making 6,000 on the building, so I'm making $7,000, and
Wait,
the
wait, wait.
mortgage.
So you going fast. This is like the accelerated class, right? So I know that some
Oh,
people
go ahead,
ready,
go
some
ahead,
people not. So that's why I'm gonna just cut in real quick to break it down for them, right?
do your
So
thing.
the thing is, you knew the end game. The end game
Exactly.
for you wasn't to own 100 residential houses. The
Hell
end
no.
the end game for you was, I want to make certain amount of money. How can I get there? But I want to also get there in a timely fashion, because it seems like, you had the process and then you took it and then you figured out, how can I multiply what I'm doing? So you
Exactly.
multiplying what you're doing was, again, it took you some time. So I mean, and that's how long did it take? You said you bought 9 single units, like
9
9.
single units.
And
So what I
what was
did
that
is,
timeline like? What
so
was that
from
like?
2009 until 2018, I bought 9 single families.
So
Then, yup,
and that was
individual
basically
houses.
individual houses, but you would refinance each of them,
Yup,
take that money, sit some aside, use the rest of
yup,
the money. Now you're
yup.
playing with house money
And
though.
now you could put those big down payments. So then I went from the 9 units. Then in 2019, I had went from 9 units to 35 units.
But
And
that was
then
by
in
buying multifamily now.
multi-family, because you got the big down payment, you got the money for, you can play big, you can play with the big boys. And then in 2020, I bought 70 units. So now I have 105 rental units.
Whoa, 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 whoa. So you mean in the 2-year span from 18 to 2020, you went from 9 to 30, 30 to
9 to
105.
35 and to 105.
Ooh, ooh. All right, so let's just hold on. Let's just let that digest. But now let's break it down again, right? So as we take this money that you're making between cash flowing properties, refinance money,
Yep.
push it all together, right? But again, if it sounds like if I'm hearing you right, don't live off that money. Don't use that money to live.
Don't.
Because I think that's let's break that down right there. How do you do that? Because I know people that get
Think
one
about
bag,
it this,
right? They get one bag and they say, I'm quitting my job.
Anthony, think about
I'm
it this
going
way.
all in.
So I didn't retire until August 31st, 2020. And I didn't want to retire early because I had a game plan, right? So say, for instance, I bought 9 of those individual, or bought 10 of those individual houses, and I had $85,000. That means, and I was being disciplined. You just put that money aside. We're not even counting, let's say, the free cash flows. So you have 800, that's 85,000 times 10. That's $885,000 sitting in the bank that could be used for a down payment. Then you have the free cash flow. Let's say you had, let's make it, it was much more than this, but say it was $15,000. Then you have $1 million sitting in the bank, and now you really can go and start putting down payments on big properties. So I bought like a 5-unit in the Northeast for $385,000. Make it easy, say $400,000. You put 20% down. You're like, oh, I got you. I'll put 80 over there. So you're putting like 80,000 over here. Then you buy something else for 200 grand that I bought, like my triplex in Lansdale. All you got to put is, let's say, another 20% or 30%. Boom, 60 G's over there. So once you have that big reserve, then you really can play with the big boys, because then you also can get partners and say, look, I already got 200K for the down payment right here. We need 500. I got 250 on my own. Can you come to the table with the other 250? Let's party. And so it's a whole different approach.
So these larger apartment buildings that you're buying, right? it sounds like those you're not doing the burst strategy on, are you? Or are you just
No,
buying them?
actually we are. You can do it if we're going to definitely. What's going to be ridiculous and unbelievable. I'm blessed to be really well off now, but in 5 years, what we're going to do, these properties, I buy them mismanaged. So what you have is you have properties where the average rent in my 24 unit, let's say the average rent is 650. Already I've increased the rent on 3 apartments, $850 a pop. So that's well over 20% increase within a few months of owning them. So the whole building is going to increase in rent. And I also put in water efficient shower heads, faucets, toilets, and all that. So that's going to reduce the operating cost. Your net operating income is going to go up. And so I bought the property worth like 1.8 million. In 5 years, without exaggeration, on the low end, it's going to be worth like 4 million. On the high end, 5 million. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to take that 5 million, be able to take like 75% of that out, pay off the old loan, and be laughing and doing cartwheels and splits to the bank. So
So
it's the bird strategy on a whole different level.
so burst strategy on steroids slash I gotta be a little more patient with those because I can't do the burst strategy in
No,
6 months.
you could do it in a year if you want, but that's short term thinking.
But that's no, but that's what I'm saying. So be patient.
Oh, be patient. So I could take the property and refi after a year. But I'm like, why? If it's so hard to find, like you're married, it's so hard to find a good wife. Why the hell would I let it go?
I
So
got
I'm
you.
going to keep it and let this thing, we're going to ride this thing out. Only way she leaving is if this thing die. So I buy the property. I get the rents up by 20% for the whole building because the leases are in different, they're staggered. So you could refi, but you only will get half of the benefit. It will only be probably worth 2.2 million or 2.5. Why don't I wait till that thing get to 5 million? So I'm always focused on a long-term greed situation.
Yeah. So look, I don't know again if you guys are hearing him. He started out not slow walking, but patiently putting this together where single family houses eventually got him to the next level. But again, we got to talk about this, KR. How do you not live off of the money? Because again, like I said, a lot
I
of
still
people.
had the 9 to 5. So if you got the 9 to 5, I didn't retire until August 31st, 2020. So I said, I got the 9 to 5 so I can save all that money. That was my strategy. Some people, they will quit and say, look, I'm just going to enjoy the money that's coming in. But for me, it was like I wasn't so focused on position. I was focused on purpose. So I had a purpose in mind. I wanted to get to a certain number so I can start buying bigger assets. And I knew I needed to keep my regular job to do that.
So using that 9 to 5, right? That allowed you income and it allowed you to have a certain type of what do you want to call it? You were bankable because you had this 9 to 5.
Exactly.
This made you bankable, and that's how you were able to leverage it too. So it's like, look, I may not love my 9 to 5, but if I keep it, it's worthwhile to get me what I want.
Yes, yes. But
So I mean,
trust me, it's so hard when you have those big checks coming in, the refi checks. Man, you'd be like, you want some good things, but you gotta be disciplined and say, one day I want to get to the bigger assets, so I can't spend that money.
so but that's what I'm saying, KR. So like, tell us about how to stay focused and disciplined because I think the struggle is, we want it now, we want it soon, and it's like, especially once you get the taste. I know me, my first refi check. Oh boy, that King of Pressure Mall was calling me.
Well, I always tell people in my family. So my aunt works for me. She does the cleaning for all the apartments. My brother does property management. My stepmom does property management, and my other brother does some maintenance stuff. And I always say I want to be the first family member in my family to make other people millionaires. And so if you come up with that purpose and that dream, like your goal is to help make other people millionaires in your family, that's what kept me focused.
Okay.
And I just will reflect and say, look, if I buy this one house or two houses, that's not going to change the whole trajectory of my family's life. So that was always the motivating thing for me. Like, how can I help my family? Like my brother, he works for me now. He's a beast. Before he used to work somewhere else, probably making 50,000. Now working with the family, he's been my broker on a lot of my deals that aren't brought to me. And he's making like 6 figures now. So my goal was always not about myself. It's really hard. I think when you start to sit back and say, what is the legacy? What's the purpose here? I think it makes it much more easier to say, look, I'm gonna go clock into the 9 to 5, put my head down, and we're gonna hit some big numbers in a couple of years. Not just me, but my family members. The thing for me.
But how do we get even, let's talk about even getting your family on board. You know, I mean, I don't know your situation, but I'm saying most people's situation is like, yo, he tripping, he want to go do that real estate stuff, or I'm not working for him. That's my brother. I ain't working for him. I should be the boss with him. Like,
oh yeah, so it is really crazy. So the way I tell people is, look, you can't work with every family member. But if you can find one, like I grew up in a church, if we can find one soul today that accepts the Lord, then the angel's going to say amen. So I had 7 siblings. I ain't telling you everyone is good. I was able to find 2 out of the 7. So you get lucky sometimes. So,
okay.
So you find the 2 out of the 7. And what I always said is, for my family members, I would give them $1,000 towards their down payment if they buy their own houses. So I'm really big on creating wealth in the family. And so I was able to find some family members, older or young, and say, look, let's partner together. It's not about me. You're in the will. So look, if I blow up, we all blow up, like the World Trade Center. So you in the will, you can look at it. So you want this thing to go down. This is going to affect all of us. And so you try to find buy-in with the whole family to help them understand a bigger picture, having long conversations, mentoring them, just telling them, look, I'm going to sacrifice myself. Like when I was in college, when my brother bought his house, I was a freshman at Bowdoin College, and he called me. He said he's about to buy a house. I was just a freshman. I barely had any money. But he told me that. I was like, I'm going to give you $1,000 towards your down payment, because that's going to be that's the beginning of wealth in our family. And so I think once you figure out the family members that are focused and driven, you can change the whole game up.
Work with the ones that do see the vision, that do want to work with you. So you're not opposed to doing family collaborations or even partnerships in general.
I'm in so deep, it's not even funny. My aunt, like, she does cleaning. It's so many family, it's crazy.
Nah, that's a beautiful thing, because like you said, now when y'all have family functions, everybody not looking at you. It's like, well, what you got going on? Because you got something going on, I got something going on, your aunt got something going on. So that's amazing.
Yep.
Then, like you said, it went from being, oh, I know I could do this, but now I can do it on another level when I bring people with me.
Yep.
So even if you do fall, say God forbid something happens to you, you know, like, yo, I'm gonna still be all right because I put him on, or I put her on. They're gonna run the marathon with you.
The way I tell my family, like when my stepmom gets upset, or my brother or my aunt, I'm like, y'all know that if I get sick or something, this is gonna be y'all business. Y'all ain't doing this for me. Y'all seen the will. Y'all know what's going on. Y'all know how it's going down. This is a family. Everybody gonna benefit. But I told them, be careful. I said, don't be trying to take me out too early. But that's how you motivate them. It's just not paying them. It's the long-term picture for everybody. So we all gonna come up. So that's how I motivated my family to help me. And it's been incredibly, and this business is really hard to find people that you trust.
So can you give us just a little look or information on, like, how can somebody struggling as a novice or a beginner get through that breakthrough or get into that next level or even some type of growth? Like, just say if you were somebody who you only bought 1 or 2, 3, whatever properties, you buying 1 property a year, like, or just trying to get that first one. Like, what advice can you give them as far as like just setting them up just to get, you know, because basically it sounds like once you got your momentum, you were good. Like, how do you get to that?
And so my business partner, Joe, he actually was first one of my students. And so in the beginning, I tell people, you may not have on-the-job training in terms of like understanding how to analyze stocks, but what you are analyzing properties, but what you can do is use your enthusiasm to make up for what you lack in terms of experience. So my business partner, Joe, when he was one of my students, I give him a book, he'll read it. I say, look at this contract, he'll do it. I say, send this email, assist me, do all these different things. And that's how he started to learn. And then what he did is I said, find a market that you want to invest in, and we'll discuss it and go back and forth. Then he decided to invest in Indiana, in a small town. And he bought like 1 property, then he started to build up from there. So I would tell people, this is so many people out there that can really help you. So try to link up with someone who has experience, because it's a lot harder to learn on your own. So one thing is link up with someone who you trust. It's just, I tell people, the way you pick your coach or the people that mentor you is the same way you should pick your life partner. Spend time with them, ask them tough questions, ask to see if they really have experience. Because some people say, like, when you pick your realtor, pick the realtor who has sold something before. Pick the guy who actually has done this before, or the woman.
You ain't say that, KR. You ain't say that. Don't work with my cousin just because this my cousin. Don't.
No,
You can't just do the personal Instagram with the cool pictures and the cool videos, but they sold 2 houses in a year.
Yeah, I tell people it's good. Like, it's really nice to learn from people who are flashy. Like, that's pretty cool and hip. But if you link up with like a master, your whole game going to change.
So the crazy thing is like you know the group that we're in is like, yo, it's so many dudes that you wouldn't even know that are out here getting it and doing what they're doing, but they're not the dudes on Instagram with the flashy and all the cool stuff. They the dudes that you don't see much. They post here and there.
Matter of fact, some of my friends were calling me ghosts off of Power. They're like, yo, we didn't even know you were out there. You just came out the blue. You owning all these buildings in Philly. Like, nobody even knows you. You're not even on social media. But a lot of people asked me to start teaching. So I said, let me come out the dark and help some of these cats out.
I hear that. Well, we definitely appreciate that. So use your energy, add value.
Find the right mentor or coach.
And use that to help you
off to the races. You'll be off to the races. So what I tell people, and what I do is when I work with people, is that a mentor is just someone you may look up to, make you feel good, someone inspirational. But a coach is someone that gives you very detailed instruction on how to get better. So you will come to me, and you're a good runner, I'm going to teach you how to run faster. You're a good thrower, I'm going to teach you how to throw farther. You are already gifted, I'm going to help you find gifts within yourself that you didn't even know exist. And that's how we're going to take you to the next level. But not only will I be your coach, but then I become your sponsor. And that means I take a risk on you and start opening doors for you, putting you in contact with lenders or potential business partners. So you start to change the whole game. That is the big difference between when you link up with someone who's very serious. Because the very serious people, they busy as hell. They don't even have time to write their own checks. I don't remember writing a check in so long.
So the other thing is with that, you said, which is dope. I mean, it's one thing to walk into a bank and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody. It's another thing to say, hey, I got an appointment with such and such sent me. Mm-hmm. Now that's when you know, like,
when you know it's about to go down.
I got the relationship, and really real estate is really all about the relationships. I really wouldn't be where I am today without the relationships and the network that I have. And I mean, I'm still learning, and growing. So it's like, I can imagine, like you said, like when all these things start working, it's like, the possibilities is endless.
They'll hit you with stuff you can never imagine. There are products out there that only the really well-off can get. And I just learned about them. And I'm like, whoa. You. So you're doing like a real estate, commercial real estate swap? Like, whoa, what is that? And they're like, well, we have a product. We can give you 10-year fix or 20-year fix. We can give it to you for like 3.19% if you're worth over $5 million. There are like so many products that regular cats can't even get.
I just had that conversation yesterday. Somebody was putting me on about asset lending. So like how the wealthy stay wealthy is, I might have money in a bank account, but the bank will lend me more money just because I keep my money in the account with a low interest rate. So for instance, if I got $100,000, they might say, look, we'll give you a line of credit, no collateral for $300,000 at this interest rate. So now I'm going to spend my money. And now with $300,000, what kind of damage could you do with $300,000?
It's crazy what they start to give you. Once you park some money with these, it's like you just gave somebody like an engagement ring. And they're like, the bank is like, yo, he proposed to me. I'm like, yo, I got you. I'm gonna be sending you money every month. You my baby. So when you send those deposits every month to that bank and you're actually using the line of credit, you're taking out new loans, you're actually, the bank love when you send referrals, because the bank, that's how they making money. So then the bank start giving you products you didn't even know exist. You're like, wow, y'all just want to throw it at me like that? Damn.
Gotcha. Gotcha. One thing we didn't talk about earlier, becoming bankable. So like while we're on this bank subject, how does one really become bankable? Like, do I, like you said, 9 to 5? Like, what do I need to do
So
to present myself to a
so
bank
the
to show
way
them that I'm?
yep, the traditional way to do it when you're bankable is that you have like a job you've been at least for a year or two, and you actually have a certain amount of money saved, let's say 5,000, 4,000, something like that, that the bank can say, oh, this person has direct deposit, this person been saving some money, this person has a credit score of like 640 or what have you, look like they're decent. Then you tell the bank, and I always tell people when you're first starting, you might want to go to a credit union or go to a small bank that only has like 2 or 3 branches. And you meet with the manager and say, hey, look, I'm new to the neighborhood. I really want to get into investing. Like I did one with American Heritage, one of my properties. I only had to put 15% down. I bought the property for $60,000. So you have that relationship, and then you say, look, I'm going to be sending you deposits on a regular basis. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a certificate of deposit with you on day one for $1,000. The other thing I'm going to
Certificate of
of
deposit.
deposit, like a CD, where you get like
Okay.
5%, you keep it for a year. So I open up one for like 5 years and say, here's $1,000 certificate of deposit to prove that this is a long-term relationship. Banks like for you to get married to them. They don't like one night stands. I know they're fun. Oh my goodness, one night stands are fun, but the banks want you to marry. So get to the bank, say, look, we about to go in. I'm going to give you $1,000 for certificate deposit. I'm going to send you monthly rent checks, have them sent automatically, ETF. The other thing I want to do is also I may open up a credit card with you, a business one or a personal one. The other thing I'm going to also do is I'm going to update you. Like if you are in a relationship, you better update the other person. So
Right.
when I'm doing rehabs and all this stuff, I send an update to the bank every couple of months and say, hey, look, I just did this. I just fixed it up. I just rented it out. Rents have increased. I'm thinking about doing this for construction. Can I get a construction loan, a little piggyback loan on top or something? And you keep going back. And that's how you get in the bid with the banks.
Gotcha.
And you
So
also tell them about your team as well, because then they'll say this kid has credibility. He is a professional. He knows how to communicate, and he knows how to do everything from A to Z. So when he comes to us with another project, he's going to be our guy.
gotcha. So all right. So I'm gonna just run it back because somebody said, "Yo, slow it down." Right. So how to become bankable is, open up the bank account, preferably with small branches, credit unions, banks that don't have, a whole bunch of branches and access to people.
Yeah.
Limited a community bank, right? Especially if you're going to invest in that community. So, for
Yes.
instance, for us down here, you got Philadelphia Federal Credit Union. Kev
Exactly.
said he went to American Heritage, but when you go
Yes.
in there, what you want to have is your stuff in order. So have your LLC documents, right? Have a credit
No,
score.
that's the other thing. People think you need the LLC. You actually don't even need that to get started. I didn't get my LLC until I got into the apartment game.
Whoa. So look, all right, so even still, we're gonna keep it super
But keep going,
easy.
keep it simple.
It's super easy. So skip to having an LLC. So you can either have it or not have it, but
Not have it.
don't let it
Don't
deter
let it
you.
deter
Open
you.
up the bank account. Go in there with, I don't know, however much you want to go in there with at the time. Just say you open up do the 50-50 method. Put 50 in the savings, 50 in the checking, and
Yep,
then hit them with the
put like
$1,000 for the
$1,000 in the CD. Yep,
open
for
up a
like
CD for 5 years.
5 years. Yep,
And then just keep building your relationship
and
from
then
there.
update the bank every couple of months on like your progress, or a couple of weeks if you're doing a rehab or something. Update them, let them know that, and also send them any new ideas you think about doing. So you want to build a relationship with that lender that you guys. My lenders, I have their cell phone numbers, so we become close, and also email them to say happy holidays, things like that. You want to build a relationship so they know who you are. So when you come calling, it's not like this the first time. It's like, oh, that guy never called me. You want them to know that you care about them.
Gotcha. So let's even touch on some of the people. What if I'm a person that like I'm just super rough around the edges? I got bad credit, you know. I didn't.
What's
I might
interesting
have.
is that is why you probably should go to the credit unions. So the credit unions have a mandate from the government. They're like nonprofits. They have to help people with low credit scores. So, and also invest in certain communities. So they have programs. that you can be a part of where they'll help you improve your credit. And actually, I took advantage of the program. I think it was Franklin Mint, where if you're first time, if you were buying an individual house, you don't have to live in it. And they gave me like $2,000 or $1,000. They have programs just because they want people that are from the community to invest in the community. Even if your score is at a 580, they can work with you to get to like a 625. The thing is that people are just so impatient. If you work with the credit union and that bank, they would say, all right, KR, you came in at 2018 with a score of 580. We have different programs that we're supposed to help the community. By 2019, we will help you get to that 620, or our minimum may be 620 because we're a credit union. We're going to help you get there by this program and give you money. So that's the other thing I would say, is that if you are definitely have a lower score, you can work your score up. Don't be discouraged.
So I want to tell people, so because you brought it up, KR. So Franklin Mint Federal Credit Union was the first bank to give me a line of credit. I got
Okay,
approved for
get
a line
money.
of credit. I got approved for a line of credit there, right? And then again, having a mentor, a friend, somebody with more experience than me, he said, yo, you got approved for that line of credit this morning. Before the bank closes today, go to Philly Federal Credit Union and apply for a line of credit from them, because it's not on your credit report just yet. So I got not just one line of credit, but two in the same day for the same amount with my same credit and income, because it wasn't hit yet. But I went to credit unions and I did it. So I literally walked out the house that day. Say I walked out the house with $0. I came back in the house with X amount of dollars in line of credit that now, like you're talking about, I can leverage that money to go do real estate deals.
Yes. And once the credit union or the bank has confidence in you, they'll be a lot more flexible doing things with you, because you can buy an individual house. Instead of getting hard money lending, you can ask for the piggyback loan, which is some money so you can do a construction. Everybody starts to open up their doors once you build a relationship with them.
Gotcha. Like that. So, and now you said we're at 105 properties. So how do you manage all these properties? Because I can imagine that shit would drive me bonkers.
Well, actually, what the good thing is that what I tell people is that you need basically three things to go from a single family investor to a multi-family apartment building investor. And the first thing is a record. So once you have a track record, you've done single families, you become a master at rehabbing them, renting them out, managing them. You spend that time. That's what I did, spend that time, become a master. Then what's going to happen is you have the relationships. And once you have the relationships with the lender, with realtors, with property managers, could be your own team that you train or what have you, then your contractors, you're able to be efficient. You'll have your own maintenance guy that will go in and make all the minor repairs. And then you have the reputation. So now you have this reputation of being a master at building teams, managing teams, and rehabbing and buying and renting and refining individual houses, that now that reputation is going to precede you, and then you're able to manage something really big. But what I did is I always, since 2009, managed my own individual houses, even though I lived in Boston and I lived in New York City. And the reason why is because I said, I don't want to pay the individual houses. The fee can be as high as 12%. I said, oh, hell no. Say, for instance, you're making $10,000 a year. And right off the back, I give someone $1,200 or $1,000. I said, nah, we're going to figure this out. And so I start reading books and also convincing my family members to get into the game, property management. And what I did is I came up with my own frameworks, which I teach in my course, about how you can be successful. Once you learn how to master on a micro level, we went from individual houses to the 3 unit, the 6 unit, then the 12 unit, the 24 unit. And now we got that thing like, it's like butter. It's just melting. It just melts in your mouth, because we have a whole system on how to approach different types of tenants, like A, B, C, and D. How do you approach these tenants? What are your templates for how do you decide if you're going to do an eviction, or how do you give the notice to vacate our paid rent? So we streamline all processes. And we also use like the app Buildium, which I just started using this year. But beforehand, I came with my own templates. And so like when tenants move into my new houses, I remember I said, I'm putting granite countertops in here, nice floors. I said, I'm gonna do them like the really nice buildings. I'm gonna give you a one-pager on how you clean up the property, how you maintain it, And this is best practices. I don't care where you come from, but this is the way KR does it.
So you came up with almost like your own, your own brochure. So you came up with your own
Yes.
brochure, but you used it to create dialogue and inform your tenants, so they knew what the expectations were.
Exactly. From day one, we have systems. So when we take over the property, we have our introductory letter. We also have another page, one pager, where it says list all the issues in your apartment that you want us to fix within the next 24 hours. We also ask them for the list of their emergency contacts. This is when it's already tenants that's occupied. And the reason I'll give you, and I'm gonna do this in my course, the reason why we do that is, one, we want to let you know there's a new sheriff in town, a good looking one. And the other thing we want you to know is we care about your concerns, and we're going to take care of them within 24 hours. So list everything that's been deferred maintenance, because we buy under managed properties. The third thing is I want all your emergency contacts, because something may happen to you, but also I would like to give them a beautiful call. If you don't pay your rent, we will fine you. And so you learn different techniques.
Okay. All right. Well, that's definitely dope. But you slid that in there too. There's a class.
Oh yeah. So we're teaching, I have one class coming up, and it is this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And what we're going to do, my business partner and I, we're going to teach for 4 hours, basically everything I learned when I bought my first 9 individual houses. And now this year I bought 5 more, basically teaching you all the things that we learned in terms of analyzing markets, picking out houses, templates to talk to lenders, templates for how to talk to contractors. So we're going to go into detail. And so you can easily click the link in my bio at kjconsulting.com and sign up for the class. And what's different about this class,
it's virtual or in person?
This is virtual. So it'll be a virtual class. But what's different about this class is that it's going to be very personalized and have case studies and answer any questions. But we're not only, I like to say this, not a one-night stand. You sign up for this course, we're going to be on you like white on rice for the next 12 months. We're going to do a monthly check-in to make sure you apply what we taught you, because we want disciples. We're trying to start a KJ consulting movement. So you'll see testimonials from the people I work with from the past several years on our website, where they've gone and bought properties and had no experience in real estate. So this is an in-depth course that's going to teach you everything I'm talking about today, but on a deeper level. And then we're gonna stick with you for at least 12 months, because we want you to be successful. So it's a very different model.
We got 2 questions in the room. One, do you recommend using the LLC in the beginning, or do you say no, go ahead and run it up in your personal credit at first?
I actually do not recommend the LLC in the beginning. And the reason why is the government, I think 2013 or something like that, the government allowed us to take 10 mortgages in our own individual name. Before, there used to be a limit to 4. And anytime the government makes these adjustments or had limits, it's because they don't want business people taking advantage of them and getting really well off. So once I heard that we can get 10 mortgages in our name, I remember I started in 2009, I started doing butterflies and backflips. Because when you got to the 4 units in your name and mortgages, you had to go start like the LLC. It was difficult to get lending. But now with the 10, you can get 10 mortgages in your name. And actually what happened is that you get a lower interest rate. You also get a longer duration, which is like 30 years. So you're going to get higher free cash flows. And so you want to be able to take advantage of all the things the government is looking out for you, basically. And so I recommend people take advantage of that, because then when you get the LLC, you actually have to pay that fee every year for the filing and everything. So I recommend that focus on the free cash flows in the beginning and become a master. You also can get an umbrella insurance if you're worried that something may happen. I'm not a big fan of people getting LLCs immediately. I think some people are intimidated when you get them, but it's not necessary to get in the game.
I got you. And then another question is, they said, so outside of this class, say if I can't make this class, how else can we learn this information from you?
If you DM me, I do consultations, and my business partner and I, we agreed that we're 1 hour consultation, $199. So I can do a 1 hour consultation, and then I think in next year we're going to launch a master class as well.
So
But yeah, you
next
could
year
do
though.
it next year, 2021. So if you can't do the course this Saturday, then you can do a one-on-one and just come with your questions and pick my brain, and we can dive really deep.
So okay, so just to go back, so if you had to start over, KR, do you think it'd be possible you could do multifamily or larger commercial, like apartment buildings sooner, or would you do it the same way you did it now if you had to go back and start over?
I would do it the same way I did it because my goal was very different from other people. So some people, their goal isn't, they just want to own, there are other investors on social media that want to own 20 individual houses. That wasn't for me. So my thing was, I wanted to own, basically get a savings, let's say 500,000 or something or more, so I can start buying bigger apartment units. So that's why I went the individual house route. But some people could go, they could get the 60,000. Say for instance, you bought that one house and then you decide to go buy an apartment complex, a triplex, and you put 60,000 down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gotta wait again. Then you can go get a 5 unit. You gotta put like 100 grand down. So for me, I just wanted to have a big chunk of money, and then
All
I
at
can just
once,
go and
so you could
yeah. Then I can
run
go.
it, so you could run through it and get that
Yes,
momentum.
yes. So when I bought the 12 unit, I bought the 12 unit and the 12 unit in Derby and the 5 unit in the Northeast at the same time on the same day.
Okay.
So when I bought the 24 unit, a 14 unit, and a 6 unit on September 8th. So I bought 44 units on the same day.
Mm.
I bought a 12 unit and a 9 unit, 21 units on the same day in July of this year. So my strategy was that I want to just get a big chunk of money together and then just be able to go buck wild.
Deploy it. Right.
Yeah.
So for somebody, I guess, who, let's say I am in position, where can they start looking to find these kind of opportunities?
So if what I would say for someone like you who probably owns individual houses and probably own like a duplex, the next stage for you is there are a number of ways you can do it. And I'll go into this in my course. A number of ways you can do it is, one, you can do it on your own if you have 100 grand. So if you have 100 grand, you probably can qualify to get a property that's $500,000, which may be a 7 unit or 8 unit. You don't necessarily have to focus on Philadelphia. So you can probably get something. You can go to the big leagues on your own, or you can partner with someone, and y'all can get, instead of getting that $500,000 one, you can go and go get one for $1 million. And so you and your partner, y'all put 20% down. You put 100 grand, the other person put 100 grand. And then you find yourself with a 12 unit, or you find yourself with a 15 unit. And then the cash flows start to get really crazy.
So now you got my brain churning, right? So if I'm hearing you, go find a bigger unit, find a partner to put the money together, and y'all figure out who does what in the what in the partnership.
And that's exactly what I teach on my one-on-one calls about apartments, is how do you structure that, whether they're a debt investor or whether they're the equity investor and you're the operator. So they put up, say for instance, you got to have 300 grand. We need 300 grand for the down payment. What I tell people is, look, you're putting the 300 grand, you put the 300 grand, I may be the operator and I may pay for all the renovation costs, but I need you to do the down payment. But I'm gonna figure out a way to take care of all the renovations when we rehab the apartments and move it up and everything. And I'm gonna also be the property manager. So you try to figure out, what can you bring to the table? I always tell people there's 3 things in real estate that will make you extraordinarily successful, but you only need 2 of them. And the 2 of them, so you need the finances, you need the knowledge, and you need the grit. And grit is just like outworking people. So if you have 2 of the 3, if you have grit and you have the knowledge, boy, it's going to be so easy to find financing. It's going to be unbelievable, because a lot of people don't have the knowledge and they don't have the grit. And then some people, they have the finances, but they don't, and they have the knowledge, but they don't have the grit. They just want someone else to be the workhorse. So that's how you think about structuring partnerships with equity and debt investors as you decide to move up the food chain.
Okay. So you got to go back again, though. Where do we find apartment, but like I just don't walk down the street and say, yo, I'm gonna
What
buy
I
that
tell
12
people,
unit.
I only have one answer. The only answer I know is doing my one-on-one call, or you decide to do my course. That's my answer. I don't know where everybody else is going. They can call Jesus, call who they got to call. But I know when something wrong in the neighborhood, you ain't calling the Ghostbusters, call KJ Consulting. And what we do is we give you our framework, because I've taught students. One of my students, and the testimony is on our page, he lives in Massachusetts. He bought a 4-unit in Maine. He didn't know anything about real estate. I have another investor that lives in Massachusetts. He bought in Columbus, Ohio. He owns about like 10 or 12 units now. My business partner, he was one of my students. He buys in Indiana. So I have people I have worked with that invest across the country
In any market, right? And you can use
different
that.
markets. And so that's what I bring to the table. So I tell people,
but that'll be in the class on Saturday, in which you will get the mentorship for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And then if not, there's the master class that's coming up the start of 2021. And then we got another question. How do you find these partners? Like, these partners, just catch them at the Nike store, Walmart? Where do we get these partners?
When I tell people, look, it's basically like, y'all think y'all coming up to the ATM and y'all I'm just going to be giving y'all money. This is the ATM machine. So you got to get the code. The only way you get the code is you got to pay to get the code. But the way you get the partners is basically you got to have a template. And the thing about it, right? If I trust you and think you're a good student, so the first thing I'm going to give you the plays, right? You show me that you got the credit score, you're serious. I'm going to connect you with someone who has money. So you may not have the money, but I may give you $100,000 or $50,000, or one of my investors. So somebody that I work with, I will recommend them to help you as a debt investor, or equity investor, or my lenders. I would tell my lenders, look, I'm gonna help this kid, give this person a break,
coach them, bring that value.
Yep. The other thing is, once you at a certain level, you're running into investors all the time. Even one of my real estate agents, I was talking to him today. His name is Christopher. And he was like, KR, I can't wait till we do a deal together. I'm saving up my money. The thing is that once you're in this universe, and in the course, that's what we talk about, is how do you approach, whether it's a friend, a family member, or a non-family member, how do you approach and convince people to win them over that you're the guy that they should bet on? Because all of us are free agents. My job is to help you learn how to market yourself so that you can win people over that may have never met you, or get you in front of people where you can present your idea.
Gotcha. So I just want to give a little tidbit. So like, I have been raising money to do deals, and it's more so, like you said, just showing people what I do. And I mean, if they believe in you, they'll invest in you. And that's definitely one of the keys. But also, I just want to give people, like, you're talking about starting out residential, starting out small, working your way up. So for those of you who work with me as your realtor, right now we have grant funds available. My friend is a police officer. He's buying a property in the neighborhood we all grew up in for $1,500 out of pocket. Why?
Wow.
Because it's his personal name, his first-time home buyer loan.
Yep.
It's a house that's already livable. It just needs a few upgrades. He probably will put $15,000 into it, which is the funny thing that you said that, for his first property. Yep. So you're talking about a $1,500 investment that is going to have a mortgage of like $800. The rent is probably $1,100 to $1,200 on his first one. So for $1,500 out of pocket, and to make $400 or $500 a month for the rest of his life, just with the one property.
That's crazy.
But now let's magnify it. Just imagine if it's him. He does the same thing with his spouse. Imagine a spouse buys a property with $1,500. Now, when you talk about bringing the family in, you got a brother, you got a cousin.
That's
almost
exactly.
$10,000 will probably get y'all 6 houses right there.
It's crazy. My brother, his in-laws, my brother, he's a realtor. He bought his house, convinced his in-laws they're buying a duplex. And it's only going to be in the husband's name. But guess what? The wife, she's thinking about buying hers next year, be in her name. So it's crazy. Like, once you understand this wealth game and you have a reputation, right? So that's why I was saying earlier, track record, relationships, and reputation. Once you have a reputation, people are going to say, oh, I'll take a chance on that kid. Yeah, that's not a big deal. He wants to buy something for, if you think about it, triplex, we only need 30,000. I'll give him like 15 if I think he knows what the hell he's doing. And the way you structure that deal, and this is what we do in the course, is you may say, look, I don't have the 15,000 right now for the deal, but I will manage the property, and you're my business partner. You get to keep the rent for the next 12 months. And then you're figuring out, say that's 12,000 right there. Then a person say, look, I'm going to come up with the other 18,000 through boom, boom, boom. So you're trying to figure out very creative ways to take advantage of opportunities. But I think that the problem is that a lot of people don't understand how to navigate this world of capital. So when I think about capital, there are three forms of capital. One is intellectual capital. That's what we learn. This is what we learn by listening to your call every Thursday, reading books, going to school. That's the intellectual part. Then we have the financial part, financial capital. That's the money we get when we do refis at the bank, when we go to work, we get a check, when we run our own business. And then the other one is social capital. That is the relationships that you have that can affect change in your life and other people's lives. And people don't realize, but America is a capitalist society. The most important thing is capital. And so if you could really figure out how this world of capital works, you're going to be a bad boy or a bad girl. So
you jumped in there, you threw something in there. So books, let's talk about that. We got a couple minutes left before they cut us off. But question for you, what books would you recommend for people, either mindset, or what books do you recommend just for learning the game?
This is exactly why you guys and women have to go check out kjconsulting.com. We have a list of our favorite books. We always post them. We tell you the quote. We give you a description. I ain't even going to mention it. If you interested and you like what I'm talking about, you need to go check out those books. A whole list.
Okay. All right. Well, we definitely appreciate that. So again, for people who they want to do your mentorship, they want to learn about the program, what's your social media information?
Yep. It's KJ Consulting. So KayJayConsulting. KJ Consulting. And you can DM us with your questions. We're locked and loaded. We're fired up. We try and change the world. So if you try and change the world and do something you've never done before, you want financial freedom, you want to build a legacy, you want to have the opportunity to just influence so many people, then you need to link up with us, because we trying to change it. We trying to do it different.
KR is the real deal, from 9 properties to 35 properties, then to 105 properties.
105.
Just in this pandemic, that's 70 properties in the pandemic.
No time to play.
That's major. So definitely salute to you. Salute to your partners. Like you said, loving what you're doing, man. Looking to keep hearing about your growth. Next week, don't forget, guys, you're going to tune in. We're going to be talking about new construction, wholesaling lots, and how to, again, level up to the next level from, residential school. But what if you start building multi-unit apartment buildings from the ground up? So next week, we're going to be talking with Darren Fell, 8 p.m. That's going to be the last IG Live for 2020. Be surprised we made it this far, with the IG Lives.
I actually love this IG Live. I've learned so much. I think what you're doing is amazing. Like, just keep it up. I'm very proud of you. I'm glad that Lorenzo linked us up and he convinced me to come out the dark. So this has just been fun. I hope you guys are tuning in every Thursday, because this brother's be dropping a lot of knowledge. He's like I told him he's like the young Arsenio Hall. I don't know if y'all know about him, but that's like the legend.
We know who Arsenio is. We're not that young. But no, we definitely appreciate you, man. And definitely salute. So we definitely gonna be documenting and watching your progress, KR. Again, don't forget, hit the link in his bio, learn about his class this Saturday, his master class coming up. And somebody just said, if you want to give away one of your houses, make sure you post it on your IG, because they said free house for the new year from KR. That's what they said.
Oh, he gonna
raffle. He gonna raffle one of his houses off.
The cash flows on all my houses are ridiculous. That would be like giving away one of my children or giving away a private part. I need that. I can't let that go. But I will, if I have some Monopoly houses, I got you.
Okay. Look, well, we definitely appreciate you again, man. Definitely salute to you. I'm gonna talk to you. I'll probably talk to you next week.
We got our event coming up in a few days.
Right. So we'll definitely link, man. But definitely appreciate you. Anything else you want to leave the people with before we log out of this thing?
All I'm gonna I just want to let anybody out there know. Look, despite what the world tells you, despite what it throws at you, I grew up homeless, on welfare. Just keep coming out the corner swinging. Like, you can change your life. And if you do what's necessary, then do what's possible, you'll find yourself doing the impossible. Very simple words. Do what's necessary, then do what's possible. You'll find yourself doing the impossible. Because at first, I just said I wanted to get a house. And I was at 9. And I was like, let me just do a little bit more. Then I was like, damn, I'm at 35. I was like, damn, like 105. And then it just kept going and going and going. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And so if I can do it, I'm sure and confident that all you guys can do it with the right coaching and a little grit and some knowledge. So peace out.
A fact,
thanks
man.
everybody for the comments and tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you again, KR. Definitely looking forward to hearing about more of your success, man. And then salute to all of y'all out there for tuning in, making it happen. You know, I see y'all next week. Thanks, KR.
All right. Peace.
Talk to you.
Talk to you.